Here we are, day 2 of 25 Days of Christmas Horrors. I'm Mike from Real Lounge Entertainment, and today's movie is All Through the House. Tagline, there's a creature stirring. This movie is from 2015, has a Rotten Tomato score of 39%, a runtime of 1 hour, 35 minutes. It's not rated, but if it was rated, it'd be rated MA for mature audiences only. And before we get into this, I just want to say, spoilers ahead. If you don't want to be spoiled about this movie, then turn around now. So basically, with this one, you got your run-of-the-mill maniac in a Santa costume going around killing people. Starts off with him finding his weapon of choice, which is hedge clippers. First victim is going to be a woman in the shower. She gets stabbed in the breast and then stabbed in the eyes. Doesn't really scream. Then her man in the other room, waiting to have some fun with her. He turns around. Santa's right there. Just watches as he cuts off his manhood. Doesn't scream before that, just watches it happen. No one's screaming yet. I mean, he screams after it happens. Then he dies off screen. And then a side note to this scene. If you look at the house, there's way too many Christmas lights in there. Who has that many Christmas lights inside of their house? And this is before they had all the LEDs, I think, because these are the old school looking ones. Oh, well, I guess I did forget about Joyce. That electric bill for December has to be way too high. Then we meet our protagonist, Rachel. She's returning home from being away for years, it seems like, and she's going to her grandma's house. Her grandma is a foul-mouthed old lady, very poorly acted, I may say. I'm sorry to say that. No disrespect. She's got some sort of crazy neighbor that has some sort of crazy backstory, and she's already talking to cops. That's how we meet her. Then we go to our next round of kills already. There's a dog named Sugar Balls. Wait, did I really hear that right? Sugar Balls?
Sugar balls.
Yes, Sugar Balls. He gets killed off screen. We just hear it. And then the dog walks. She goes over there, and we get another screamless death. Just another scene where someone sees someone trying to kill them, doesn't react whatsoever. Another one of those scenes where we don't see the violence. We see them react, and then cut away, and then cut back where the weapon is already in. Kind of a classic sign of being low budget, but I'll give them the respect for that. In the next scene, we join Mrs. Garrett, the crazy neighbor to the grandma, and she's sitting around talking to all these mannequins. For some reason, her house is full of mannequins dressed like Santa. And what's she talking about? Why did you let me get passed around to all those men? What is going on in this lady's head? What? You don't have a life-size Santa in your basement to talk to? Hey, buddy, what's up? And then we go to our next scene. There's another couple about to do the deed. She goes into the kitchen, starts grabbing some stuff because they're going to have some fun. But fun? She grabs peanut butter out of the fridge. What's wrong with you? Don't put your peanut butter in the fridge. Either way, we got another death where she doesn't scream. Cut away, cut back, weapons already inserted. Then we go back to the guy. He's tied to the bed. And what happens? A little stuffed bear rides in on a tricycle. What is this, the Saw movie? Like, look at this comparison. I'm half expecting Jigsaw to pop out of this movie, right? And then the guy tied to the bed asks the question I've been asking this whole time so far. Are you going to make me scream? He's doing it all for fun, but no, for real. Is somebody going to scream in this movie when they're about to die? Like, look, this is all I got to do. Look, I'm walking around. No one's by me. Then I turn around and see Santa. That's creepy. Ah! That's what you do. So then Santa comes into this room, and the man tied to the bed is defenseless because he's tied down. And what does Santa do? Gets his big scissors and bam, cuts off that guy's manhood. Like, dude, what are you doing, man? What is your problem? Get away from me. So now watching this movie, every time I see Santa, I keep getting this familiar feeling like I've seen this before. And I think I finally got it. I watch wrestling, right? This mask makes me think of Uncle Howdy from WWE, doesn't it? Right? Any of you out there, let me know in the comments. Do you think this resembles Uncle Howdy in some way? I'm not saying exactly, but give me a yay or nay. And now we're back to Mrs. Garrett, the crazy neighbor. What's she doing now? Talking to dolls about her perfect daughter. Well, she doesn't have a daughter anymore because she disappeared, apparently. We're getting little glimpses of backstory here and there. And then for some reason, Rachel and her two friends decide, hey, we should help that crazy lady who lives next door to my grandma decorate her house. But it doesn't make any sense because Mrs. Garrett's house is already completely decorated inside and out, complete with tons of mannequins dressed like Santa. There's nothing left to decorate. So I don't understand that concept at all. And then we get a flashback of Mrs. Garrett and her daughter. We only see the daughter from the back, and she's inside her house looking out the window at little kids playing in the yard. Poor little girl. But let's see. Not really seeing her face. A crazy Santa that's cutting off manhoods. I have a guess here of where this movie is going. So now we're off to our next round of kills. We get a girl killed in her underwear, and another girl killed in the shower, or at least in the bathroom after a shower. And in this one, this evil Santa takes his hedge clippers and not only stabs her, but pushes it all the way through a door. And now we're getting a little more backstory coming in. Rachel's mom apparently abandoned her at some point, so she's got mom issues. Mr. Garrett knew her mom, so some sort of tie in there. All told by the grandma. Yes, the grandma again. Swearing and bad acting. And now we're at the point where all three friends are still in Mrs. Garrett's house. Mrs. Garrett isn't even there. She said she has a date. They're not even decorating anything, so why are they staying in this house? I don't get it. And then next door, we have the evil Santa Claus tie Rachel's grandma to a wheelchair that she's in, and then just pushes her outside, and then pushes her what seems to be off a cliff. Look at this scene. Doesn't this look like Mac and Me? Then Santa goes back into the house, pets the cat, but then we hear the cat die off screen too. What is this Santa's problem with pets and manhoods? There's something going on here in this town. Now Rachel's left the house to go do her own little thing. And what happens? Friend number one gets attacked and killed, but at least she fought back. Then we get a little bit more backstory. Rachel's mom? Yeah, she was having an affair with Mr. Garrett. Ooh, don't tell Mrs. Garrett. And now Rachel's other friend, we'll call her number two. She gets chased down and slaughtered too. And also, now Rachel's starting to play phone tag with her ex-boyfriend. The one that she doesn't really want anything to do with. He kind of made an appearance earlier, but not really important in the movie. Either way, through him, he finds out that Mr. Garrett went to prison 15 years ago. Story's all unwinding. And now we're getting the final act. The final act starts in Mrs. Garrett's basement. And down there, guess what? More mannequins dressed like Santa. A cage that says "Time Out Cage." And a sign that says "Girls Love Mommy." And guess what? She turns around. Mrs. Garrett's down there. She's been down there the whole time. We knew something was up with this lady. Now Mrs. Garrett's completely losing it, and all of a sudden it's like, Jamie is here. That's the name of her daughter. And we get a reveal here that Mr. Garrett went to prison for trying to kill Jamie when Jamie was a kid. But the real thing that happened was Mrs. Garrett had a baby boy, but wanted a baby girl. So she cut off his manhood and framed her husband, and he went to prison for what she did. Not really surprised. Thought we were going somewhere like this. So Mr. Garrett goes to prison, Jamie goes to a mental hospital, and we're just getting a lot of information being thrown at us right away. Rachel starts feeling groggy. It must have been that one little tiny sip of eggnog she had. Come on, one little sip? Really? So basically, as Rachel's getting groggy and about to pass out, Mrs. Garrett basically confesses that she wants Rachel to be her new daughter. And the other big confession, that she killed her mom. In her words, I buried that bitch in the garden in the backyard. Rachel now wakes up. She's tied to the bed. And we have Jamie walking around the room thrusting the scissors like in a very inappropriate way. All of a sudden, Cody, her ex-boyfriend, appears and starts fighting Jamie. Jamie wins the fight, but it's enough to let Rachel get loose. And now we have the final chasing, basically. And did I say she's wearing lingerie? Yes, this is a very good choice for the movie. This is when the movie really gets good. I would say best scene of the movie. The chase scene winds up back at the house. Mrs. Garrett joins in on the fights. Notice the three of them. Rachel gets caught and put in the timeout cage, but all it is a dog cage. Like, kick it. It'll break. Now she's incapacitated in the inescapable dog cage, and Cody is tied down to a table. Jamie has a present for Mrs. Garrett. It's a bag full of cut off manhoods, of course. Isn't that what everybody wants for Christmas? Let's just think about this. So does anybody want these for Christmas? I mean, I don't want to keep them. I just like getting them. So now we have the next part of the plan. Mrs. Garrett plans on killing Jamie because he's just a man with his manhood cut off, as she says, and wants to take Rachel as his daughter because, last twist of the movie, you know how Mr. Garrett was having an affair with Rachel's mom? He impregnated her. So Rachel is the daughter that was supposed to be hers. Mrs. Garrett got Jamie the boy. That's what this whole thing's about. So before she tries to kill Jamie, Mrs. Garrett all of a sudden just runs and is like, I forgot something, and kills Cody. Well, thanks for playing, Cody. Your character never really had a chance in this movie, and also really didn't do anything. Then, in a very slow attempt to kill Jamie, she stabs him in the back, but Jamie's too strong for that, and Jamie turns around and kills his mom, while Rachel watches. Connie even helps by holding her hand down so she can't reach the knife. I guess they're like best friends now, right? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter that Jamie killed like 10 people in this movie. It's all good now. We'll just forget about it. Rachel basically walks outside, and that's really the end of the movie. So, what do I think about this movie? It's not a great movie, but it's also not the worst thing I've ever seen. From what I read online, this movie was shot in only about 7 days. So, to shoot a movie completely in like 7 days, mad respect. The other thing about this movie, maybe the acting isn't perfect, maybe the lighting's not perfect, but you can tell these people actually cared about making a movie. It's not perfect at all, and it's not great, but something about this movie just works. I don't know. So with all the imperfections of this movie, I can only give it like a 1.5 out of 5. But it's got more rewatchability than a movie that might be like a 2 or 2.5 out of 5. And just for the fact that what they were able to do in such a short period of time, I honestly recommend you watching it if you like low budget horror movies. I know some people can't watch these type of movies. It's just not professional enough. It's not polished enough. But for someone like me, I like to see people making their dreams come true. The director wrote it too, so you can tell it was a passion project for him, for sure. People needed some respect for this. The only other real complaints is sometimes it gets a little too gratuitous and not in a way that I really think it needed to go that way. And they try to throw in maybe way too many reveals and twists and turns. But here's to you. You tried it. You had a fully developed story. Maybe just a little overcomplicated for just a little horror movie. But we're going to say, I think the 1.5 is fair. But like I said, still recommend people just giving it a try. Thanks for watching this one. And my next question is for video number 3. Do any of you speak Finnish? I guess we'll find out tomorrow with day 3 of 25 Days of Christmas Horrors.